in some of the associations that I'm involved in, we plan with government executives. So those government executives are sitting side by side with us, planning these events. And now how's better to get to know somebody than you're sitting there planning an event with them? These are the same people that you could not get on their calendar. But now you're sitting side by side with them planning a big event. And you get to know them very, very well. So you want to belong to organizations like this, and you want to work in those organizations. Also, another way, how do you network to create these relationships? In the social networks, and we already talked about that. And if you're in those social networks, you get an opportunity to meet a lot of people that you didn't know before. And sometimes you never meet them face to face, but they still will come and help you because of the networking groups and networking situations you're in. You go to these events even when you don't want to. Now, some nights, like last night, I just felt like, I am so tired, it's cold outside, I don't feel like being bothered. But I had to go to this event. and I sit down and I think about it for a minute. I said, oh God, and then you sit there and you go through all these excuses. What excuse can I come up with? Why? What can I tell them I'm doing that keeps me from coming to this thing? And when you finish going through all the excuses, you get up, get your stuff on, get dressed, and you go. And you go whether you feel like it or not. And a lot of my friends who don't understand this, they always say to me, well, why are you dragging yourself out? Why do you do so much? Why are you doing? They don't get it. Because I've got to be out there. I have to. My daughter says to me, Ma, how could you be going to this event tonight? Scandal's on tonight. You know what? You watch it and get back to me and let me know what happened. Because while you're sitting there watching Scandal, I'm going to make some money. Right? I didn't watch the repeat of Scandal. So another way is, another thing I want to get across to you is how do you actually network at an event? Now, we have folks who are introverts, and we have folks who are extroverts. And so now you're in this, you've gone to this event, and you walk in and there's just a sea full of people, and you're by yourself, and you're thinking, oh God, now what do I do? Now, some of us, many of us, what we'll do is we'll figure out what time is the networking part, and then what time is the actual award ceremony. So if the award ceremony and dinner starts at 8, but the networking starts at 7, you show up at 8. That way you don't have to talk to anybody. Well, you just missed the whole point of going to the event. Right? Okay? You need to be there at 7, with bells and whistles on and business cards in hand. And now you walk in and you're thinking, I hope I see somebody I know, because I'm here by myself, I feel so alone, I'm an introvert, and I really don't want to talk to these people. So what do? First of all, you look around the room and you find somebody who's also in the same predicament you're in, and they're standing there looking forlorn, like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? And you walk right up to them. And this is if you're an introvert. Okay, because you got to find another introvert in the crowd so the two can make each other a little bit more comfortable. Move over to the extrovert side. But you walk up to that person and you start a conversation with them. Now, let me ask you all, what do you think you would say, the first thing you would say if you walked up to a stranger in a big event and you don't know who they are? What's the first thing you would have come out of your mouth?
Hello, my name is Cynthia Bell Fox.
Okay, and then what?
Then ask me, who are you? That's what I would say, but I'm not an introvert. Needless to say.
And that is absolutely right. You introduce yourself, and they typically will introduce themselves back to you. Now what?
How they like the event so far?
Yeah.
What's that?
How they like the event so far?
And that's a great one. How do you like the event so far? That gets a conversation going. What's another one?
What do you do?
I'm a
introvert who pretends to be it's always awkward with me. My isn't it crowded with me? Something like that.
Okay, and that's a good, another one, open-ended questions, because if you make a statement, they may not respond.
Right.
But you got open-ended questions so that they have to respond. You got to open up the conversation. What's another thing that you might say?
How was your week?
How was your week? Okay, that's another one. You get them talking.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go up and say, this is the first time I've come to this event. You always seems like a friendly face, and I thought I could introduce myself.
Right. Now, but what are you going to say to make them start talking?
Then I'll ask them if they've ever been here before, if this is their first time, and ask them if they are, of course, what do they do, and try to get them to talk about their business.
Okay, so on that note, what you really want to know is who they are, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to ask them that,
Right.
because that's kind of like, are you important or not? So you don't want to say, well, who are you? But a real easy way to say that after you've been through that dialogue is to say, so what brings you to this event?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what brings you here? And now they start telling you how they're connected to the event. And you're listening. You're listening. Another problem we have is we don't listen. We as a people, as human beings, we want to tell everybody everything there is to know about us.
That's correct.
And nobody wants to hear that. They don't even know you yet. They don't even know they should be interested in you.
Right.
Okay, so you've got to show interest in them first. So you want to know what brings you to this event and listen to what they say. As they start telling you, well, I belong to this association and I do this, and they're going to eventually tell you who they are, why they're there, and what they do.
But they didn't come up with good excuses.
And then after they tell you more about them, you're listening for things that you have in common. And once you hear some things that you have in common, then you start keying off of that. All right, so if they say, yeah, I'm here, I've got a child that I've left at home, I got to run and check with the babysitter. Oh, really? How old is your child? I have a child too, blah, 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 blah. And you start going through that kind of dialogue, and eventually, you stand there holding this long conversation. Finally, you decide, you say, wait a minute, I'm not meeting anybody else. I got to move around this room. You do not want to stay and talk to somebody the whole hour, because you got all these other people you got to get out there and meet. But you get that business card exchange. Now, when you get home with that business card and that whole stack you just collected, how do you know who that person was that you were talking to? There you go. So you write on the business card, on the back of the business card, something that will make you remember who that person was. Okay? Something they said, or something they did, or something they had on, or you write something that makes you remember when you get back home with that stack who that person is that's on that business card. Okay, so those are some of the things that you do when you go to these events and try to figure out how to talk to people. Make sure you get there at 7. Don't wait until the program starts at 8. Be there at 7 so that you can get the full benefit of why you're there in the first place. Now, how do we build these relationships? When you get home and you have that card, the first thing you want to do is send them an email. Tell them how nice it was to meet them, mention something that you learned about them, and hopefully you learn enough so that you can prompt another meeting if it was somebody you want to continue this relationship with. I've had occasion to meet people who, I listen and I'm hearing that they really liked some singer. Let's just say they like, I don't know, they like Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle's coming to town. So what I'm going to do, if I really need to know this person, I'm going to buy some tickets to Patti LaBelle. And I'm going to send them an email and say, I got tickets to Patti LaBelle. I know she's one of your favorite performers. Would you like to go? All right? Now, yeah, you bought the ticket. Okay, so it's an investment. It's an investment, okay? And if you take them on business, it's a write-off. But you got to find ways to keep that person wanting to be with you and wanting to build this relationship. You also want to do things like have events at your house. Now, you all know those people, and I know there are none in this room. But there are those who will never have an event at their house, but they always coming to your house to do whatever the event is. They don't ever have a holiday party, they don't have anything, but they're showing up at your house complaining about what you did at your house. Well, I know nobody in here is like that, but one of the things you want to do is once you have this new circle of people that you want to continue to interact with, you want to have something that you can invite them to. The event may be at your house. There may be other events, like I said, the Patty LaBelle thing, or a football game, or a basketball game, or something that you buy tickets to, and you invite them out to that. Find something in common, like I said earlier, that you can build on. Let's say you meet a stranger, and you know they like to play golf, and you like to play golf. Don't talk to them for 5 minutes and then start asking them for business. Okay, they're not ready for that yet. You want to invite them out to play golf, you know, and wind it down with them a little bit, spend some time, form a relationship before you start asking people for stuff. And that relationship may take you a few weeks to form. It could take a few months, depending on the person you're trying to build this relationship with. If you come right out of the chute where, well, look, I need to do some business with you, then you're going to destroy any chance you had to create that relationship. I had one situation where I had to figure out how to build a relationship with an executive at a major hospital. And I was working for IBM at the time, and I had this executive pool of folks at this hospital who I really needed to get to know. So